I'm actually a huge fan of what's going on in the harmony here. Not this harmony. Hey everyone, my name is Christoph Jakob. I'm a music composer for video games. It's already been a while since Sizzle Season dropped in Splatoon 3. After I made my video on Ska-Blam by the newly added band Yoko and the Gold Bazookas, I wanted to quickly peek at the other two new songs as well, but then decided to actually let them sink in a little first. Today, let's check out the new track Three-Horn Circus, and I'll give you my honest opinion on it. Before we get into it, I've been working on my own little Splatoon-inspired album this year, which will release on June 23rd. You can already pre-order it on my Bandcamp page and pre-save it on Spotify, which will help boost the algorithm. Links to that in the description below. Thanks everyone for the support, and let's get into funny circus woomy music Three-Horn Circus. Ooh, that harmony. What a quirky and distinct intro. The tune introduces itself with a little motif, a quite simplistic and rhythmically straightforward one. As we will see later in the video, this motif is going to reappear here and there in one form or another. What I especially loved about this intro isn't actually what the melody is doing, it's what's happening in the drums. The drums aren't just playing anything, any fill whatsoever. In a way they are imitating and as a result rhythmically emphasizing the melody. I have to admit that I do not know if there is an actual name for this phenomenon, but it's really nice to hear. Let me try and demonstrate. It's not so much going or something like that, but instead you can recognize the melody through the drums alone. Right after that, we get to hear the gold bazooka and the brass instruments in a manner that's quite similar to what could be heard in Ska-Blam as well. They all play a melody in unison. For those of you who don't know or haven't watched my video on Ska-Blam, playing in unison basically just means that multiple instruments or instrument groups are playing the exact same thing at the exact same time. However, did something about this intro feel slightly weird to you? Ooh, that harmony. I'm actually a huge fan of what's going on in the harmony here. Not this harmony. In the second half of the intro, the harmony is playing exactly what the melody is doing, but a so-called tritone apart. A tritone is one of the most dissonant intervals, so the space between two notes in music. And here, every single note of the harmony is a tritone above or below the melody. That is certainly one way to start a piece of music. It instantly lets you know that what you're about to listen to is quirky and in a way a little intentionally weird. Very nice drums. Oh, an organ. It sounds so goofy and silly. Intro section again. It's gonna explode. In my video on Ska-Blam, I talked a lot about what ska music even is, and whether the music meets some of the criteria that are typical for that genre or not. And to make it short, Three-Horn Circus meets those criteria as well. And I'd personally say maybe even more than Ska-Blam itself. I mean, just listen to what's happening in the drums and the bass. The drums are frantic and hectic. An electric guitar is playing with the motif that had just been introduced in the intro. Meanwhile, the bass is actually no longer playing that motif. But it's kinda going on its own little adventure. It's admittedly a little subtle, but the baritone saxophone is playing the exact same thing that it had already played in the intro. Shortly after, a drawbar organ, or Hammond organ, once again, is playing that motif from the intro, or some variation of it. Mainly to make sure that we will never be able to forget this melody ever again. In movies, this kind of organ sound is often almost a little stereotypically used in amusement parks and the likes. And I mean, I'd say that's a nice choice of instrument for sure. Three-Horn Circus feels like you're being chased by a clown in an overly comical fashion after all. Once the quirky squeezy synth takes the place of the drawbar organ, I love how the drums are once again rhythmically emphasizing what's going on melodically. It sounds so goofy and silly. You know, it's details like this that can really make a piece of music shine. Too often have I heard songs, and I'm guilty of that myself, where the entire drum section is more or less just copy-pasted throughout the entire song. Intro section again. It's gonna explode. The bass is very interesting. Just playing the same note. That was a quirky, fun little tune. Now, that was certainly a very awkward climax section, wasn't it? But I have to say that this is easily my favorite part about Three-Horn Circus. Similar to Ska-Blam, there's no point in talking too much about the key and the chords and chord progressions in my opinion. Especially since the chords are often just implied. But we definitely need to talk about what's going on in this section. So far, the entire tune had an implied minor tonality. However, this final section, pretty much out of nowhere, switches to major. And it's not just that, but the melody in the brass section is actually heavily emphasizing the major third. So basically that one specific note that makes a major chord to begin with. The drums are back to their frantic and hectic ska typical approach. And I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the bass is actually playing one and the same note for the entirety of the section. I tried playing the chord progression that we hear in this climax section. It was not easy though. When I heard Three-Horn Circus for the very first time, I actually didn't even like it all that much. But oh my goodness, has it grown on me. What a banger, and maybe even a binger. Thanks for watching. Like this video and subscribe if you have not already. I'm actually going to host the Splash 2 release party listening stream on June 23rd. I hope I'll see some of you then. With all of that being said, see you next time!